Today, I want to talk about something that a lot of you guys are doing, and you don't realize that by doing this, you're really hurting your chances to grow your sales as well as grow your profits. Hey, badass business owners, my name is Tammy, and I'm here to help you grow your business, but more importantly, understand your business numbers so that way you can be more profitable. And today I want to talk about something that I've been seeing quite a bit of, and especially lately. And a matter of fact, of the people that have been reaching out to me lately, they all seem to have this one problem. But the good thing is they're reaching out because they recognize they have the problem. And that tells me, because it keeps happening, that it's time to have a conversation about this. And that is garbage in, garbage out. What on earth are you talking about, Tammy? Well, this has to do with your books. We all know that I am a huge fan of you knowing your business numbers. And a big chunk of you knowing your business numbers comes from you using your profit and loss statement. Your profit and loss statement is the most critical piece you have when it comes to looking at information that is going to help you grow. I mean, your profit and loss, if done correctly, is going to show you the sales you've got coming in. It's going to show you what areas of sales are coming in and doing better than other ones. And you can track by month and over year and see the history of what's going on. Plus, it's going to break down all of your expenses and where your money's going. And hey, I don't think I'm spending that much money in this area. And then you look at the P&L and you're like, holy cow, I'm spending more money in office supplies than I ever thought I was going to spend. And it ends up hurting you. And at the end of the day, you think you're being profitable and you're like, wow, I just made $5,000. And then you start diving in and you're like, no, you didn't, because that's why your bank doesn't say $5,000, because you've been spending it in other ways. But here's the problem. Garbage in, garbage out. You heard me say that earlier. And what I'm talking about is that when your books are messed up, okay, when you're not making sure that you go in to your QuickBooks or Wave or FreshBooks or any of these other ones that are out there, when you're not using the tools that are in front of you and all you're doing is kind of letting your bank, the first step is you're doing great. You're making sure your bank is attached to your books, and that part is great. But what's happening is when people either A, categories incorrectly, or they don't do it at all, and they just let it grow year after year after year. And then meanwhile, they use either an outside app that they sometimes will have, or just some piece of paper, chicken scratch, that they give to pay their taxes. Some people aren't paying their taxes at all, and other people are paying their taxes, but I don't know where they're getting their numbers to pay their taxes, because their books have not been reconciled or even looked at or categorized, for that matter. And what ends up happening is it's garbage in, garbage out. All right, had to take a quick pause there because my dog is going crazy. Hang on one sec. Like I was saying, part of the challenge that you have is if you're not going in and making sure that things are going to the right areas, how is that report any good to you, right? Because the report is not going to have either all of your sales on it, or it's not going to have all of your expenses on it. And what's going to end up happening is you're kind of now trusting your gut. You know it's not right. And I've got people that are reaching out because they're like, hey, I haven't paid my taxes in a certain amount of time. I need to get these straight so that I can pay my taxes. Or they're going, hey, yeah, I filed my taxes in the past, but now I want to use my numbers because I want to grow my business. I want to use the information. But I know this information is useless because when I pull it up, it's nowhere near correct. And it's really important that everybody understands that part of that growth of learning your numbers, one is to understand the numbers. Two is to make sure that you have good numbers. I can't tell you how many times in my past that I've used accidentally bad numbers. And when you start diving into it, you're like, wow, this is missing, this is missing, this is missing. So you end up either thinking you're better at something than you are, or you think you're worse at something than what you are. I've looked at people's stuff to where they are missing like tons of money, or money's going out for some reason and they didn't even know it. Or I'll ask them just casually, how much do you think that you spent on office supplies last year? And they're like, a couple $1,000 maybe. And it turns out it was like $10,000. It was something crazy. Or I'll ask them what they thought they did in sales. And they're like, oh, I think I did like $20,000. And I'm like, did you know that you only did 16? And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, because that's what's inside of your books. When you really look at it, that's what's correct. Or it's vice versa. Sometimes people are underdoing for their taxes because they actually made more money than what they thought they did, top line. And then they missed a bunch of expenses that they could have done. And they could have paid less taxes because they didn't capture all of the expenses that they actually should have. they're like, I lost the receipt, or I don't know what that is. That must be a personal expense, which brings up a whole nother problem that happens because you can't write off your personal expenses. And a lot of you are mix matching in your accounts. There's some personal in there, there's some business stuff in there, and all you're doing is you're making a mess out of that as well, because now you got to go clean all that up and get that out. And usually when we start cleaning people's stuff up, I've had it to where half of the charges on their bank card were actually personal, and I've had other ones where they're making charges on stuff that aren't connected to their business accounts, because they're making the charges on their personal credit cards or in their personal bank account. And it turns out they're like, man, I know I spent more money than that. My expenses should be higher. And it turns out that it's because it's sitting on their personal credit card, and they never made sure that that information got put into their books, into their QuickBooks or anything, because once again, they weren't even reconciling, they weren't looking at it, they weren't looking at anything in there. And then when they start diving in and going through, oh wow, I missed this. Just the other day, I got one that had, I think it was like $900 and something of charges that they had done over the last few months, but it was sitting in the other account, and they just never even looked at their personal account to see if there were business charges. So here we were taking out personal stuff out of the business account and putting business stuff in from the personal accounts. That's what I mean. You've got to stick to what is business. I mean, when you take on the role of running a business, you need to make sure that you have a checking account that is set up just for your business, and you get a debit card for that business. And if you really, really, really must have a credit card, then go get a credit card for that business. Or if you can't get one in the name of the business, then you get a personal card and you only use it for business, and you connect that to your QuickBooks. So this way you are making sure that you capture everything. Like I said, the garbage piece comes because we're just not paying attention to it. We're letting it be whatever it is. If it happens to hit, it happens to hit. I'm working on one right now that's got some issues because it was putting things into the wrong bank accounts, and it's created this mess of trying to balance it all out. And sometimes that'll happen because they weren't set up in the first place the correct way, and then it was categorized the wrong way on top of it, and the business was not getting a clean P&L because it was missing all the information that was going to the wrong areas. So you can tell there's so many different things that go into creating these really bad P&Ls. And I'm excited because you want to learn how to use the P&L. I'm excited because you want to know what the difference is between gross margin and net profit and how much money you're making. I mean, when I talk to somebody who's saying, hey, look, Tammy, I really want to understand my business numbers. Can you help teach me? I get so excited because the minute someone makes that decision, I know they're all in to learn it. And they see the opportunity that they can to make more sales and, more importantly, make more profit. And whether that's they've signed up for my course, and then they're like, Tammy, this is great. I'm learning so much. Can I ask you some questions? Absolutely. Ask me some questions. I want you to learn this. I want you to understand those business numbers, because that is ultimately what is going to help you make more money. Right? We do this because we want to make lots of money, right? We want to be able to have the most profitable business that we could possibly have. I had one person who almost brought me to tears the other day because I'm always preaching that, you know what? It's a profit game, not a sales game. And there's a lot of people out there who will tell you, get sales, and you'll make more money. Not if you're running a poor business, you're not. You're going to get more sales. By default, you're going to end up with more profits. But how much profit did you throw away because you weren't paying attention to your expenses or where your money was going? So at the end of the day, give me a business that makes, the sales of $100,000 making $30,000 versus one that's making $120,000 in sales, but they're only making $20,000 in profit. You've got to make sure that you have a profitable business and that you're not just chasing sales for the sake of chasing sales. You're making sure you're chasing profitable sales that actually make you some money. Once again, you don't even know that if you've got garbage going in and you're using very poor numbers. And as great as we all are at trying to say, oh, I'll remember this next year, or I'll make sure I do this the next time. No, you won't. No, you won't. I have been there. I have said that to myself many times, only to disappoint myself that I did not remember. Or I'll remember and I'll go, but what was I supposed to remember? You know what? Was it supposed to be this, or was it that? Or was it this week, or was it 2 weeks from now? Or was it 2 weeks ago? Oh my gosh, I don't remember what that is. Knowledge is power. You knowing your business numbers gives you the power to do more in sales, and more importantly, to make more profits. I know I'm sounding like a broken record, and I'm doing this on purpose because it's really important that this message gets driven home to the point where you become passionate about the fact that, hey, I want to understand these numbers. I want to make sure that I have good information at my fingertips So that way I can make good choices. Just yesterday I was talking to somebody and we dove into theirs. They actually have pretty darn good books. And we looked at a section and we found a whole way of how they're not even using it to grow their sales in another way. I'm like, because they had 20 vendors that had some of their product in it. And we started talking about, hey, have you ever compared this number to this number coming out of the books right here, and then saying, hey, why is this one location down when this one location is up? And, from their purchases and what they're buying and what they're telling them they're selling and all this other stuff. It's like, wow, I never thought to use it this way. Yeah, because that's what I'm telling you. Printing the P&L is one thing, but there's ways, if you have QuickBooks, that you can click on a number and you can get some detail and you can start going, oh, wow, there's tons of information in here that I can use. But only if you have good books, right? Only if you're putting the information in. So part of it is it's got to be in there. Then it's like, how can I use it? How can I grow my business? Those are the things that you're looking for every single time that we keep talking about this. And I'm going to keep talking about this. This is what I'm dedicating this podcast to, this YouTube channel to, is you really fully understanding your numbers, how to use them, how to make more money. And that's ultimately what we want to do. So with that, I probably have thrown a lot at you. Just remember, garbage in, garbage out. If you've got garbage sitting inside of your books, or if you're not taking care of them and you're not making sure things are in there, you need to make sure that you're doing that. At minimum, you need to have a program or someone helping you out, because you want to take the time to make sure that you got the right stuff in there. And if you want to do that, down in the show notes, there is a link to get a hold of me. We can see what we can do to help you out. But more importantly, if you want to learn your business numbers, like I said, I've got the very affordable course that's in there that you can go ahead and take. Not to mention the fact that I do business coaching as well. Let's say you have some really good books and you just want to go over them and whatnot, you can give me a call. Either way. But with that, I am going to get out of here. I want you to just dive in, learn those business numbers, make more money, and let's go ahead and get you to be as profitable as you could possibly be. And with that, I'm out here. Bye for now.